All right, Mark, that's where we are. You're watching Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. A matchup in the West Coast Conference, the Toreros of San Diego. A daunting task, taking on the #1 ranked team in college basketball, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Hi, everybody. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham. Great to have you with us again. Last week at this time, Sean, you called a great performance coming from Drew Timme, and sure enough, he torched the Dons. Who are you going to highlight before this game tonight?
Well, look, it's always easy to go back to the big three and Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, and Drew Timme and talk about their level of efficiency and the way they've played all season long. All three of them are playing at an All-American level and likely to see their names on one of those teams. Tonight, though, my pick, Joel Ayayi. I think when you look at the season in which Joel Ayayi has had, he has made himself the type of game that we're going to see tonight where he could really flourish. He had the program's first career triple-double against Portland. 12 points, 13 rebounds, 14 assists in that game. Speaking of rebounding, he's the best rebounding guard in the country. He grabbed 18 rebounds against Iowa, and for a team that doesn't have a lot of front court length, that's important. But here's where he can hurt you. If you are guarding Joel Ayayi and you're watching the ball, you're giving him a layup. He moves so well without the ball, and I think that's going to be important to watch as we look at tonight's game.
Well, I mean, like I said, Sean, last week you said Drew Timme, this is a great matchup for him. He's going to have a big game. And what, he had 15 of their first 17 points, could have scored 50 if he wanted to. So we'll see what Joel Ayayi has in store. The numbers, you know, the talent is so extreme for the Zags. The numbers still look relatively modest just from an overall standpoint. But 7 rebounds a game, you highlighted that number, 59% field goal shooting for Joel Ayayi. He and the Zags are ready to go from home. Mark Few's team just rolling along. 22nd year. We all know Mark's story and how he has built this Gonzaga program up. Sean, it does. Look, the competition level in the West Coast Conference up and down this year, but his team these last couple weeks has just been awesome. And Jalen Suggs, the super talented freshman point guard, is going to track down the opening tip. Gonzaga's got the ball first tonight. Drew Timme, see, you didn't spotlight him in the open. He missed his first shot, although he did get fouled.
Well, I mean, I can't go back to the well every time. Look, Timme's a problem for San Diego as well. What do you have, 23 points in their first matchup? And they're going to have to throw multiple bodies at him. One of the things they could ill afford to do, though, is what happened on that possession. On-ball screen, you switch, and now you have such a size differential. And the numbers over the last 7 games, nobody has put up those type of numbers except for Domantas Sabonis, where you had 6 games with 20-plus points and shooting better than 70%. Timmy's now done it over 7 games.
So the Toreros facing a little full-court pressure. Sullivan, Calcaterra, Parrish, Pyle, and Pinchuk, the starting 5 for San Diego. A true contrast, not just in resumes and level of accomplishment, but even just games played, Sean. San Diego has only played 10. No team in the country really has had more COVID interruptions, postponements, cancellations than this San Diego team. They did get a win on Thursday night, a win that had everybody in their program excited.
And to your point, the only teams that have played fewer games than San Diego have been the teams that canceled or did not play their season. They have been on more starts and stops and long pauses than any program in the country. 17 games, Dave, have been either postponed or canceled, and the postponed games really haven't been made up.
West Coast Conference going to use a different system to seed their conference tournament. That's a violation. They did not get it over in time. 10 seconds, turnover San Diego.
I like what Mark Few is doing here, trying to speed up the game a little bit. It also is a challenge for this Gonzaga defense, right? They haven't extended out the press a lot lately, but it may be something that they need to do in the NCAA tournament. So you practice it during these games to see how it feels and how much success you have.
Drew Timme, so patient with the footwork underneath the basket.
I should have done Timme again.
Darn it, missed opportunity. Come on, Joel. Making Farnham look bad. Grab a rebound at least. In the lane. Nice little floater there, and we'll see. San Diego has some offensive weapons. They have some guys who can put the ball in the basket. Joey Calcaterra, their leading scorer.
Well, and I think the key for them is having poise at the offensive end of the floor. The first shot is not going to be the right shot for San Diego. They're going to have to turn one down and find a better one and force Gonzaga to have to defend. That's how they're going to slow down this game. To eliminate some of the transition game, you've got to be able to get back and work your offense and force Gonzaga to have to defend.
Didn't play a game for that whole stretch here up until just a couple days ago. And Santa Clara, a competitive team in this league. It was a nice win for the Toreros after so much time off. Little baby hook shot didn't go. Here come the Zags. Ayayi got cut off. They're triple teaming him. San Diego watched the open. Kispert got the offensive rebound, and he was fouled.
This is what you love, though, about that possession, is Ayayi drives in and easily could take that layup if he wanted to. And instead, he gets jump stops on balance. He finds Drew Timme. A good look for Timme. And Kispert, cracking in on the weak side, goes in and gets that offensive rebound and earns a trip to the free throw line. It is amazing when you think about this roster, and we can sit and look at Kispert's numbers and how much they stand out, and we're going, well, they've dropped a little bit as of late. You're nitpicking if you're looking at Corey Kispert's game and want to be overly critical, honestly.
Well, not just a Player of the Year candidate in this league, he's a National Player of the Year candidate. His efficiency numbers off the charts. So you're right, maybe the shooting numbers have dipped just a tiny bit. Josh Parrish trying to drive it in close. Here's the guy they call the Squirrel. The Squirrel lost his acorn underneath the basket. They do. That's Yowan Masalski's nickname, the Squirrel. Suggs, I don't think Timme was getting ready for the pass. Calcaterra pull up, in and out. There are some fans at the kennel, not many, and basically it's essentially family members, but there are more people than there have been at any point this year. 200 or so folks are inside the Athletic Center tonight to watch Drew Timme and the Zags, and Timme may be headed for another one of those monster games.
The patience and poise that Gonzaga's playing with at the offensive end is pretty impressive right now, because they're not getting out in transition. They're not finding easy looks and quick looks early in the shot clock. They're having to work it around.
Calcaterra from the corner, perfect on the three, and he can get hot. That is a kid who can score in bunches if Gonzaga lets him get going.
He had 19 last year in Spokane.
Ayayi, they call him for the push-off, offensive foul.
Yeah, Calcaterra, though, you mentioned it, Dave. He is a guy that could really get going. Coming off a season-best 23 points against Santa Clara. But last year in Spokane, he had 19. His three-point range is really strong, and he can step out and knock it down with a pretty good clip.
He checked out of the game, probably not for very long. More full court pressure, and it's given the Toreros some problem. Ayayi steals it away. Joel Ayayi had it knocked out of bounds, so good transition defense.
Well, we're going to get a foul. They're going to call the foul on that. He's going to be at the free throw line when we come back. Yeah.
So that foul will send us to our first timeout. Yeah, some folks in the building. Maybe not quite the kennel we're used to seeing, but still good to see those people there. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy, the official sponsor of Getting Stuff Done. And in part by Burger King. $1 your way, only at Burger King. By rule, my partner has to be the one who verbally mentions that historic building in downtown Spokane for the first time every broadcast.
It's the historic Davenport Hotel, the comfiest beds in the world.
The home away from home for the #1 program in college basketball, Gonzaga, with an 8-5 lead. Their offensive numbers for the year, we document this every time they play, rightfully so. #1 scoring team, #1 shooting team. Their percentages inside the arc. Gonzaga is shooting almost 65% from 2 as a team. They pass the ball better than anybody. They score in the paint like no other team in college basketball. But yeah, he makes the first free throw out of the timeout.
Well, and they do that without great length. They don't do that with a 7-foot presence underneath that, is just able to dominate down low. I mean, Drew Timmy's got good size, don't get me wrong, but they don't have a plethora of size that really can overpower you. A lot of it is done through transition. A lot of it is done with movement without the basketball and floor spacing.
One of the fascinating things about this program right now is how different this roster is from the one just a few years ago that played for the national championship in the title game in terms of the strengths of the roster, the types of players who are the star players on that team versus this one. I think it's a testament to that man and his staff and the program as a whole, where it is not a, jam whoever we get into our system. Gonzaga's system and the way they play can change year to year, and they play at a high level no matter what.
Dave, not only does it change year to year, it changes within the game. I mean, when they put Anton Watson in, and then they go with the 3 guards into double bigs, the coverages and the help in which you try to implore defensively if you're an opponent completely changes.
Great point. I mean, this year, Anton Watson was starting for the vast majority of the year. Here's Timmy. Got cut off baseline. That was actually pretty good defense there by Masalski. But now gets a touch on this end. And right over top, Corey Kispert, he scores. So if San Diego or any team faces the lineup where Kispert is going to play that 4 spot, I mean, really, to me, that's what teams have to try to do, is take advantage on that end of the floor, because on this end is hard to match Gonzaga when Kispert's playing that 4 spot and guard him. San Diego, we know, is a big-time underdog in this game. Maybe you're thinking, just what are the chances? Maybe tonight, maybe. Stephen F. Austin, I think they were, 27.5-point underdog going into that game against Duke at Cameron Indoor a couple years ago. Tonight, San Diego, a 32-point underdog coming into this game.
That's significant.
It would be quite a story if the Toreros found a way.
Well, right now, they're controlling the tempo and the flow of this game pretty well. I think if you're Sam Scholl, you got to be pretty happy with the start.
Humphrey picked up his dribble, and Suggs was all over him. But Toreros managed to avoid a turnover. Frankie Hughes, who can score coming off the bench. Cut back door, and the pass just wasn't quite on the mark. Kispert in transition.
He just gets right to that logo, right in front of the logo area, hits the brakes. Great footwork.
Wow, what a basket for Josh Parrish with 2 would-be shot blockers, including the great defensive star Jalen Suggs right there. He scored anyway. Kispert dribbles inside the arc. Timmy offensive rebound. And whipped it right back to Kispert, in and out, no good. So San Diego, Parrish is going to go on the attack again. I thought maybe he had a chance to just go and score himself.
I think one of the things San Diego's doing a really good job of is what Sam Scholl told us he wanted to do earlier, is tell his guys, hey, no self-thought moments out on the floor. If you miss a shot, we don't care. Like, it's immediately has to be next play. If you turn the ball over, it's next play. If they score, it's the next play. Because the time that you wait self-reflecting gives an opportunity for Gonzaga to really exploit you and go on a run. And that was a prime example. After a made field goal by Corey Kispert, Hughes went right down to the other end. No thought about what just happened. We're going to go make something happen.
Yeah, that was a good example. That could have been a dig-me moment for Josh Parrish, because that was well done. Instead, he busted it. A little pull-up jumper is too strong. Aaron Cook in the game for the first time. Really, this is the 3-point guard lineup we've seen for some minutes for the Zags. Suggs, Cook, and Nembhard all out there together. This is Andrew Nembhard. Timmy, another offensive rebound. They're having a hard time containing him.
Everybody's having a hard time containing Drew Timme. I mean, he's playing the best basketball of his entire career. And that 7-game stretch doesn't look like it's slowing down at all, at least in the early stages of this game.
Here's a three right side from Hughes, no good.
And you'll notice when the shot goes up, there's not a lot of blue jerseys trying to go get offensive rebounds. Everybody's primarily dropping back.
Nembhard in and out and almost back down in again, but no. And don't you think most teams have to take that tact? We saw BYU try to get on the offensive glass a little bit against Gonzaga. What a steal by Cook. Here come the Zags. Whoa, what a pass from Nembhard. He just knew that Anton Watson was there to lay it in.
Dave, that's 3 point guards being out on the floor at the exact same time. It started at the defensive end with Cook, just outstanding awareness by Nembhard to know where the trailer was coming.
Here's Parrish. That was a good little hesitation move. Instead of settling for the pull-up, he laid it in.
Defensive intensity not where it needs to be for Gonzaga right now. They were a little flat-footed on that last possession.
Maybe they were looking forward to the leak out because that happened fast. Timeout, Toreros. And that'll take us to our full timeout, Sean.
Yeah, you think about execution in transition, awareness. It starts at the defensive end of the floor. Great job by Cook. Watch the head of Nembhard. He looks at the basket. He has awareness. He knows where the trailer is. They run that seam and able to finish.
Well, number one Gonzaga with a 19-11 first-half lead over the Toreros of San Diego. Jalen Suggs, the super talented freshman point guard. We've talked a lot about his two-sport ability, Sean. How about pregame? Jalen, you can't get the quarterback out of Jalen Suggs.
Quarterback? That's not even a professional quarterback there. That's in the front yard in the street with some buddies. And the sidewalks are out of bounds, and you got to stay between the curbs, but you got to find a way to get a touchdown still. And Jalen Suggs, he can deliver it on time and on target, whether it's a football or a basketball.
Could have played quarterback at Ohio State, decided to play college hoops at Gonzaga. He's going to be a top 5 NBA pick or somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe even a real high NBA draft pick. And he is one of the main reasons why Gonzaga has changed a little bit the way that they play. This roster construction this year, perimeter heavy. Jalen Suggs, the highest ranked recruit ever to come to Gonzaga.
I think we talked about it last week about being a one and done, and people said like, Zach Collins is a one and done. Everybody's well aware of that. But the difference was that Jalen Suggs, when he was coming out of high school, had the option to go to the G League. Jalen Suggs could have chosen many different paths that would have gotten him paid and not have him arrive up into Spokane. You mentioned the football background, just a phenomenal talent. Mr. Football in the state of Minnesota as a senior. But when you're recruiting the top 5 prospect, it changes kind of the amount of attention one comes onto campus with. And Jalen Suggs has handled it extremely well. He's integrated in very well to the culture of the program. And I think a large part of that is one, coach and player relationship. But 2 would be the veterans that are in that locker room, guys that have been part of this program and understand how Gonzaga operates. Because that starts to build the consistency within your team.
That was 3 free throws, by the way, for Ben Pyle. How many did he make? He did not make a single one of them. That hurts. Anton Watson makes his move, missed it. Here come the Toreros. Katera back in the game. That's a turnover, and now this happens. When you face the Zags, you turn it over like that, you give up that.
Spacing wasn't even great in that break. Ayayi and Kispert were really close together, but the fact that Ayayi knew that and got the ball to Kispert so quickly, that's what allowed that layup to happen.
This is the biggest lead for the number 1 team in the country so far. By the way, another ACC Big 12 Big Monday doubleheader for you coming up on this Monday, just a couple days from now on ESPN on the app. Syracuse at Duke. Coach K, Coach Boeheim go head-to-head at 7 Eastern. Big game on both sides. And then in the Big 12, Texas Tech and Oklahoma State in Stillwater, 9 Eastern. Both games are streamed live on the app. Speaking of top draft prospects, Suggs certainly one of them. Cade Cunningham of Oklahoma State in that mix.
I spoke
with who's going to go high.
I spoke with Kate on Thursday night on the Players Lounge, our halftime segment that we're doing on Wednesdays and Thursday nights on ESPN and ESPN2. And Kate Cunningham joined us, and Kevin Connors asked him specifically what has he liked most about this college basketball season. He said the grind of the Big 12. Every single night, understanding where I am, who I am, and what my team needs of me, and having to compete against some of the best teams in the country. And certainly Cade has put up some great numbers all year long.
Good answer. I'm going to call that as an offensive foul. I like the Players Lounge. That's a good feature. I've enjoyed it.
And we've had two Zags on already. We had Jalen Suggs and Corey Kispert both on. If you didn't see them, they're on my Instagram, so you can check out all 9 episodes so far on my Instagram TV.
Do they have good snacks in the Players Lounge?
They would if we were in person. Like if this was a normal year and I was in Bristol, you better believe I'd have a full snack spread in front of me as the players were joining us.
Suggs came up a little bit short on that little floater. Under 10 minutes to go, first half. Drive, stop, travel. Sam Scholl, the third-year head coach at USD. He's got the John Thompson towel over his shoulder.
Lost a lot of legends in the coaching world. John Thompson, so significant to this game, and especially Georgetown. Georgetown got a big win over Seton Hall today.
Complicated person, complicated legacy, but an extraordinarily important person in the history of college basketball. And ultimately, to me, John Thompson, aside from, the toughness and the defense and the legacy of talent development there, but the awareness of players from different backgrounds. Back in those days, I think, from a lot of corners, Sean, you heard snickers of academic qualifications and why is this kid at this university and blah, blah, blah. And John's point always was, we need to advocate for kids who come from high schools and places that don't give them the support that other kids get. And these kids deserve chances to be at our schools. And ultimately, I think John Thompson was an incredible advocate for a lot of players whose lives he changed over the years.
John Chaney in the exact same likeness, too, in regards to that, and opening up doors of opportunity, talking about Prop 48 and all those issues and being an advocate for players.
Ahead of his time. Ben Sullivan tried to touch pass it to Masalski, but that was fumbled. Timmy, the big man, can lead the break. He can do just about everything. Jalen Suggs rattles it in.
And as tight as this game was at the start and the tempo and play, what ends up happening inevitably is you start getting careless with the basketball. There's been 9 turnovers from San Diego so far, and it has led to 14 of their 27 points. So if you're not going to value the basketball, if you're not going to jump stop, be solid on 2, be on balance, and deliver that pass on time and on target with 2 hands and not just little soft flippers, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's another turnover, the 10th already for the Toreros. The Zags turning up the defense.
A lot of times in the early stages of Gonzaga coming to national prominence, the thought process was about the guards. But as the program has advanced, so has the sphere of focus, and the big men in recent history for Gonzaga have been some of the most dominating we've seen in college basketball. Remember Kelly Olynyk? He actually redshirted a season. Why? Because growth and development, he understood his journey. Domantas Sabonis was outstanding from the jump when he arrived into Spokane, as was Zach Collins, a one-and-done player, just in case you thought I didn't know. And then Rui Hachimura. He, too, took some time to find himself in Spokane, but once he did, he separated himself. I remember the block against Yves Pons by Brandon Clark, who subsequently took from his time at Gonzaga, advanced all the way through now into the NBA and having so much success. And you see all of them sitting there in Gucci row, in the front row of the kennel. Cardboard cutouts, of course. They're not actually there in person. They're all playing in the NBA right now.
Although you and I, we saw Rui Hachimura last year in person at a game. Those players want to come back. They spent time in Spokane, around the program, in the city. It's another part of the success of the Zags is how much the players want to be around even after they graduate and move on.
And I just want to point out, because I know he's watching.
Yeah.
I politicked for Rob Sacre to be part of that. and unfortunately, Unfortunately, I was outvoted. But, Rob, I wanted you to know that I totally was pulling for you to be part of that. He, of course, had great success, went on to play in the NBA, was part of the Lakers. But here's where the current pros are, and that was my producer's call on that one. But all of them having great success and put up numbers. Zach Collins has been limited a little bit, but it's also style of play down in Portland. When you're playing with Dame Lillard, I think he's probably going to get a bulk of the shots. But I was really impressed with Brandon Clark last year and how smooth his transition was to Memphis. And I think most NBA executives were, because if you were redrafting that draft now, Brandon Clark would have been much higher up on the boards.
And Drew Timme next in line. Even with this team different in terms of its composition, more guard heavy, more perimeter heavy, Drew Timme is just having a monster year. That was a little step through move from Masalski to lay it in. You know, since you highlighted Drew Timme, not that he wasn't doing great things before that, but it was 1 week ago today, leading into the broadcast, hey, Drew Timme's going to have a big game. Since then, he's played 44 minutes. He scored 48 points. He's 19 for 23. 19 for 23. Okay, yeah. Now 20 for 24.
Yeah, it's a pretty good percentage. I mean, he is as efficient as any player right now that is in college basketball, period.
I'm going to say something that's probably a little controversial, because Luka Garza stranglehold on the National Player of the Year award. Ayo Dosunmu, maybe he's tracking it down. There's a Yayi with a beautiful floater. Gonzaga now, with the blink of an eye, is up by 20. I think Drew Timme has a very strong case for National Player of the Year. I do.
Well, I don't think he's going to get in that discussion, Dave. I really don't.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with you. But I would say this. It goes back to my initial statement. Kispert, Suggs, and Timme are all to be on All-American teams at the end of this year, whether that's the first, second, or third team All-American team. And I think when you look nationally right now, look, Timmy's been great. I think Evan Mobley is only one of now two players, because Jeremiah Robinson Earl added to that list today, that lead their team in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks this season in power conferences. I think Evan Mobley, the very talented freshman from USC, he's been great all year long. There's other guys that are going to get consideration in that likeness. But Drew Timme, it's hard to argue with his efficiency, Dave.
What if he never misses a shot from now until the rest of the year? Then will he get in the conversation?
The crazy part is it's highly likely that he won't. Like, I mean that's how
he's the most feels that way.
And it's also not crazy to say that he's going to be the conference player of the year. I mean, and that is crazy to think about when you think of what Corey Kispert has been able to accomplish and his efficiency over the long haul of this season and what he's been able to do. But when you watch Drew Timme and he catches the ball, there's never a sense of panic. Look at the poise. He surveys the defense. He knows exactly what read he wants to go to. He has great footwork. He anticipates. His teammates have awareness of where he is. Look, Ayayi brought three guys to him, and he could have still gone up and gone through, but instead he enjoyed and celebrated the pass by making an easy one for his teammate.
Kispert, three. San Diego struggling to score. That's an understatement, since the first few minutes of this game. Parrish underneath had it stripped away. There's Ben Pyle for three. Timme gobbles up another rebound.
Sometimes when I watch San Diego, they're just so stagnant offensively. They're standing and watching. There's not a lot of great movement with purpose, especially away from the basketball.
They called a foul on the floor. Well, game of the night Tuesday comes in the Big 12, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. If you're watching here out west, number 23 Kansas against number 12 Texas. That's a big game, especially considering what happened today to both those teams on ESPN. It'll stream on the app. Ayayi from the free throw line, no.
Well, and you talk about Kansas. So everybody's writing off Kansas now, so they're back in the top 25. They beat Texas Tech today. Texas had some fighting amongst themselves in a game that they were up by 19, and then watch all go away down the stretch.
No kidding. We may have to talk about that one as we go along what happened to Texas today. Gonzaga with Suggs here in the last couple minutes leading the way up big. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. Yeah, winning is fun. I don't know.
I don't think
Sean.
this team doesn't get bored.
I see them all the time. They don't look bored.
I get it, and I understand exactly what they're saying. But there hasn't been any complacency in how they've approached the game. I mean, because I think when you're as focused as this team is on their goal, and their goal is not a West Coast Conference championship, their goal is not an undefeated season, their goal is to win a national championship. That's been the goal since day one, and it remains their sole purpose and their sole focus of the season.
That move by Jared Rodriguez.
That was nice. But I think when your focus is on that, Dave, it just you don't get bored. And you know what? You talk about plays like this and you go, hey, why did that happen? How come Watson got picked off on that screen? Where was the communication? Was Suggs a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 steps away where he should have been closer to be able to contest that a little bit better? Those are the things that you focus on if you're Gonzaga right now. Because look, to the guy's point, San Diego's barely played this whole season. All right, they've barely played, and when they have played, they've struggled to find success. Now, they're coming off a good win against Santa Clara, but they haven't been able to see any kind of light as far as sustained success or consistency within even playing games this season. So, yeah, Gonzaga's a better team. Gonzaga's going to win this game. But it's how you go about doing it, which I think is really important in the building process to maintain your level of focus and your effort and your attention to detail as we get closer and closer to the NCAA tournament.
Every team could learn from the Zags in that regard. They could. Finn Sullivan, by the way, who had such a good game for San Diego the first time these two teams met, has not scored and is now on the bench with 3 first-half fouls. That was some help defense that came quickly and cut off Pinchuk before he could get the shot off. Cook tried to find Watson, turned it over.
Overpassing there. That's one where Cook needed to take the shot.
And then on this end, nice move by Marion Humphrey to lay it in right with Suggs in his face.
And Humphrey, his minutes have decreased this year. He was much more productive as a freshman, had more opportunities. This year he's been a little bit less consistency as far as minutes go, and his numbers have dropped, but he can play. His dad was an All-American running back at Alabama.
Yeah, Bobby Humphrey was a great player. His brother is one of the best defensive backs in the NFL right now. Marion was a track star in high school.
He was the only freshman to have 200-plus points, 100 rebounds plus, and 80 assists plus in a single season. It's 1992-93 last year. And this year he's primarily come off the bench. As I mentioned, his minutes have dropped. But I think he's got a future ahead of him where he could be a very productive and important part to the Toreros program.
Found his teammate Rodriguez, who missed the 3. 2 minutes to go first half from Spokane. Gonzaga with a 41-19 lead, despite the fact that they have not made a 3 in this first half, which is kind of hard to believe. Of course, when you have Drew Timme, who never misses a shot from the field, period, I guess you don't need the 3-point bucket.
Dave, you've got 34 points in the paint already in the first half. 34 points in the paint. And just watch the footwork, the balance, check and see where they are. And one of the things we showed you on that video, and I should have mentioned it, what Gonzaga does really well, it doesn't matter what block, they're looking first to get to middle. They're going to see where the help is coming from. They want to know where you're going to be doubling. If you're coming baseline, they're going middle. If you're coming up top, they're going to take one power dribble in middle, and they're going to spin off you, and they're going to be able to finish. And they do such a good job of looking and attacking middle first when they catch with their back to the basket on the block.
Well, maybe I'll be the only one beating the drum for it, but Drew Timme needs some consideration for that big award. He does. He's played that well. He now is out of his free throw slump for a couple games for whatever reason. He wasn't making free throws. Now he's making his free throws again.
He's got 15 of their 44 points, 6 of 7 shooting, 3 for 3. His mom, players may not be bored. She looks bored with her son's success right there. She's like, oh, yeah,
my son, a brick every once in a while.
My son scored again. He hasn't hit a 3 in the first half, though. No, but obviously very proud of what her son is accomplishing. And I'm so happy for these parents to be back there this week. We saw it with Jalen Crutcher's parents last night for the Dayton senior night, that they were there to celebrate and be albeit distanced from their son. But for these parents, these Gonzaga players, they've been watching on TV all year long and seeing the success that they've had and had very limited opportunities to come and support and be in person. And I think it's great that they have a small grouping of spectators. It's all family and immediate members for both programs there to be able to celebrate their sons' athletic achievements.
Let's face it, they're sick of watching you and me. Kispert with the steal.
Nobody is, Dave. Do not say that. They probably
good with the foul.
They're watching on the ESPN app right now. That's why she has her phone in her hand. She's watching on the app, and she probably has an earbud in the opposite ear so she can hear our commentary and hear how proud we are of the way that Drew Timme's playing. There's Corey Kispert's parents.
Yeah, I'm sure they're listening somehow, too.
I don't think they are. They're not listening. I don't see a phone.
Derry and Craig. Corey is kind of a combination of their 2 first names. I don't know if that's by design or not, but 3-point play for their kid.
A senior night next Saturday for him against LMU. It's going to be a big night for him. Sure, it would be emotional. It'd be even more emotional if the Kennel was actually packed, as it always is, with one of the best student sections in all of the country.
Well, the Zags, it was an unusual thing. 40 seconds to go until halftime, up 30 on the Toreros. But the Zags had to play, 5 games in a row away from home. They get the flip side now, though. They get to end the year basically in the comforts of their home. Timme, offensive rebound. Why not? Another bucket for Drew Timme before we go to the locker room.
He had, 21 in the first half the other night? And he's got 17 right now on 7 of 8 shooting.
7 of 8 shooting, 3 of 3 from the line, 6 rebounds. 3-pointer on the way. That one is good. So Calcaterra hits a jumper with 2 seconds on the clock. And the horn will sound. 51-22, the halftime score. And Drew Timme has done it again, Sean. My goodness.
Just so impressive with everything that Drew Timme's done. His footwork, his composure just stands out.
You're watching Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. 51-22. Good grief. The #1 team in the country taking it to San Diego. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham. Not that this is a huge surprise, Sean, but so many different ways we could illustrate the dominance of the Zags in that first half.
I thought you were saying it wasn't a huge surprise that we were calling the game. Okay.
No,
but
it's also not a huge surprise that you and I have the #1 team in the country.
But the Gonzaga Bulldogs, they have dominated every way that you possibly can imagine. Look at the footwork there by Drew Timme. Just silly with it. 40 points in the paint in the first 20 minutes. They got 19 points off of turnovers. When you are careless with the ball, they put it right back on you. They capitalized off of 12 turnovers for those 19 points. And of course, that means you're getting out in transition as well. Your defense isn't set up for San Diego, and Gonzaga is able to exploit it. And then if you can't keep them off the glass, well, it's going to be a long night. And Drew Timme and the Gonzaga Bulldogs did an outstanding job getting second chance points in that first half.
So here we go, underway in the second half, and the top line players out there for the Zags. We'll see how long that lasts. Toreros need to do a lot better to even compete in the second half. Maybe that's a start. Vladimir Pinchuk chucks one in.
What was the line you had on Drew Timme?
You mean the numbers over the last 3 games?
Yeah.
23 of 27, 56 points in 48 minutes.
That's good.
I just felt like it didn't need any other comment. You know, what else are you going to say? 85% shooting, 3 games.
And I said that's good. And I think that's an accurate and good, solid analysis. Also, so is this. Jalen Suggs quietly just goes about his business. I mean, just, we're hardly talking about it. He's 5 of 7, has 13 points in this game.
Playing beautifully. Nembhard 3 from the corner.
So there's their first made 3-pointer.
That was
the only thing we could have. That's the only thing, by the way, in the first half that we could have looked at and been like, oh, we should maybe focus on this. They haven't made a 3-point shot yet.
All right, let me ask you this. Kispert hit the deck hard, no whistle, so Pinchuk gets another bucket. If, you know, it is one characteristic that stands out with this team, as dominant as Gonzaga has been. They're not a dominant 3-point shooting team. They're a good 3-point shooting team, not high volume. So in the NCAA tournament, in a one-and-done situation, if a team gets hot from 3 against the Zags, is that a potential vulnerability?
Well, that would be more about their defense than it would be their offense. I'm not worried about their ability to get possessions or find efficient ways to score. I mean, look, they get out of bounds underneath, get a wide-open layup. They missed it on that one. But, I mean, they score in such a variety of ways. It doesn't concern me all that much because I also think when it comes time to the NCAA tournament, even though the numbers have dipped as of late, number 24 is going to deliver. Corey Kispert's going to knock down some shots. Nembhard has proven that he can knock down some shots. Suggs is getting better from shooting from beyond the arc.
Whoa, so while what a move by Nembhard.
It's not the main cog of their offense. I think if they need it, they can go to it. And I think that's the versatility that this team has.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and I definitely agree that come big game time, Kispert, a lot of those shots are going to go in. That's a bucket with a foul.
Nice job by Parrish. The ability to finish for Parrish. Nice job attacking the paint for San Diego. We got Suggs on his hip. Utilize his upper body strength. Go through Timme. Good finish.
San Diego's got 2 players, Sean, just to wrap up on Josh Parrish. He's one of them. Started his career at TCU, then went to Rice, now at San Diego. 3rd stop along the line for Josh Parrish.
And I think that's a difficult route to go about. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, Sam Schultz said he's great. Like, he's been absolutely everything they could have wanted and more for them at San Diego. But you transfer once and say, okay, hey, it was a bad situation. You transfer twice, now all of a sudden I'm asking you to look at yourself a little bit. And I'd be going, okay, why didn't it work in the first 2 stops? You know, what was it that didn't work right in this instance at TCU and then at Rice before you came to San Diego? And he was at one point in time ranked as a 15th best prospect coming out of the state of Texas his senior year. Dave, I have a feeling that we're going to be able to talk about a lot of things here in the second half. But I
get all the time we need.
I want to circle back to what you were saying about, you know, being a 3-point shooting team.
Okay.
It is more often that we see 3-point shooting teams fail in the NCAA tournament that rely solely on their ability to knock down the 3-point shot and have a poor shooting night and not understand how they can manufacture points or how they can score than it is the opposite way. And I think that's something that we all need to file in the back of our memory as we get closer and closer to the NCAA tournament.
Maybe it's an asset for the Zags that they aren't dependent on it. They aren't.
I mean, if Alabama's not hitting their 3-point shot, look, they can score in the paint, but it's different in the way that they go about doing it. They struggle a little bit more when they're not knocking down their perimeter shot.
Calcaterra, they closed out on him nicely to prevent the 3, took a tough 2 and missed it.
A great back cut by Kispert. He wanted that one too. Yeah, he missed him.
Zags don't miss a lot. Timme, what a look for Suggs.
That's the thing. It's perpetual motion and movement without the basketball. Defensively, if you fall asleep for a second, if you watch the ball for a second, they're all capable of back cutting. finding a seam and getting a layup.
Ben Pyle's going to keep shooting. Has not found the mark in this game. Timmy just takes his time, draws the foul, didn't make the shot, but it doesn't count as an official field goal.
We talked so much about his footwork, and we saw it on full display there. How about his vision and awareness? Watch Suggs as he cuts down the seam. You look at the ball just for a second. Where is he going? Okay, hey, you're going there. You can't point. Pointing defense is bad defense. If you're guarding Gonzaga and you just go, Jalen Suggs, he's running over there. The second you point it, he's already beat you. And what a pass by Drew Timme. I think a team that's going to knock off Gonzaga, if anybody does it, it's going to be at the defensive end of the floor. You're going to have to play your best defense. You're going to have to be physical. You're going to have to rebound the ball. You're going to have to be able to switch. That's why I think that the matchup with Baylor is so compelling for so many people to think about when you think of Mitchell, Teague, and Butler. They're three very talented guards. And Mark Vidal and his ability to switch really 1 through 4 for the Baylor Bears.
In the lane, Calcaterra came up short. Salski missed. And finally, Ayayi comes away with the ball. Actually sort of got knocked down, but kept the dribble going. Suggs pull up 3, no.
Watch this possession for San Diego. How much movement do they have? How many guys are standing around? And if you're not moving and forcing the defense to have to rotate and shift, that is a heck of a move. But you're going one-on-one on a consistent basis. That's going to be an advantage for your opponent.
And in contrast with the Zags, who are always on the move and make no-look passes and try to dunk on people. It's a staple of this Gonzaga program. So is our mention of my partner's favorite thing in the whole wide world.
Oh my goodness, is that it?
If you were waiting for it,
Oh, I can't wait.
Just wait.
It looks so good.
Next.
It looks so good.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Burger King. $1 your way only at Burger King. And by Heineken. Enjoy Heineken responsibly, which we have done many times inside the historic Davenport Hotel in our years going up to Spokane. 62-31. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham. We can't be there tonight, which stinks for us. So, Sean, we did have a special surprise for you.
Sean.
We thought we'd bring the Davenport to you.
Hey, Sean, got the spot for you.
Hey, Sean, we have your favorite food and beverage waiting for you. We miss you.
Sean Farnham, on behalf of Davenport Hotels, Walt and Karen Worthy, we want to say congratulations on the new name for our spicy shrimp flatbread, the Farnham. Congratulations.
Oh my goodness. Come on, you can't be serious with that. We're serious with that.
We're serious.
Are we serious
Is that
with
the
that?
greatest moment of your professional career?
I think of all the things I've accomplished in the course of broadcasting at ESPN. You're my first game ever that we called together, Dave, for ESPN was in the Kennel. It was in Spokane back in 2010. The favorite part of that was, for me, seeing Robin. She was one of the servers there that was shown. Robin has been a staple at the Safari Lounge forever. And the part about the Davenport, everybody always says, why do you always talk about it? Because when you travel as much as you and I do, and you have a place that treats you like you're at home, it's our version of Cheers. They all know our name. We go there, and we have a great time every single time. I appreciate that. I got to get a menu. If it really says the Farnham on the menu, I got to get one. I need one.
It says it.
Look at this. No, stop. Get it.
They got your picture.
Oh, this is the greatest day of my life. I have gone and arrived. I have a food named after me at an establishment as classy as the Davenport. Thank you so much, everybody at the Davenport. Thank you.
They didn't name one after me, which is fine because you eat more of them than I did. But at halftime, I did make my own version of a flatbread upstairs because we're at home. So I figured I'd try to taste a little bit of it. It's a poor imitation. I didn't have any shrimp. I didn't have any spicy. I can't wait to have an actual Farnham.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody needs to go down to the Davy and order the Farnham tonight because there's in-person dining now. That's what I read. There's in-person dining back in Spokane. No reason. Go see Robin and Jen and everybody at the Safari Lounge and order the Farnham, please.
Well, and just to wrap it up, we appreciate our viewers indulging us, having a little fun. We can't be there. We miss the kennel. We miss traveling in the WCC. We miss the folks, our friends at the Davenport. So much appreciated. Oh, what? Look what we have in our truck there on site.
I am jealous that everybody that's on site got the Farnham. Where's my wife? I'm opening my door here. I don't have the Farnham here at the house. This is unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it went from the greatest day of your life to one of the worst.
Just sheer jealousy. Are you kidding me?
Torturing you.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I cannot wait to get back up there. I hope it's soon.
Yeah, and you and I were there for one game this year, and they sold
didn't
out
have the Farnham. They didn't have the Farnham. And by the way, forevermore, if you think I'm going to say spicy shrimp flatbread, there is zero chance that's happening. Nope. It is just simply known as the Farnham now. The Farnham. That's what we're rolling with.
Thank you to the folks at the Davenport. Great stuff.
That's awesome. I need that sent to me, Sean. Eric Postman. You need to send that to me as fast as possible. I'm putting that out on all my social media. Are you kidding me?
I think somebody else is going to do it for you.
I hope so. Oh, it looks so good. Come on, Dave. Like,
that does look pretty darn good.
That is just pure 100% deliciousness.
Just a little inside peek in our process. We prep for these games. We work hard. We go to the shoot-arounds. We talk to the coaches. Then we come back after the game is over, and we order 9 of those.
It's true. And I eat most of them. I do share a little bit, but I do eat most of them.
A little. Should we get back to the game? What do you think?
I don't know. I just want one of those at my house now.
Yeah, you don't want the one that I made at halftime.
No, I don't want your version. That's not even close.
The Fleming ain't the Farnham.
No. Oh, my goodness. That's phenomenal.
Hey, look, while we had a little silly fun, the score didn't really change that much.
That's phenomenal.
Kispert.
My parents just texted and said they want to go up to Spokane now and try the Farnham.
We got to make it when things get back to normal. We do a little family trip up there and forget whether there's a game or not. Just go up there and stay and
I'd love to go for the 3-on-3 tournament. The 3-on-3 tournament up there is fantastic during the course of the summer. I hope they can have it this year.
Me too. Great basketball town. Skip ahead. And no. How about Suggs? How about Kispert? Okay.
I'm just still off a little mentally right now.
You should be tickled.
That's fantastic. I am. I'm smiling. I'm smiling so much my cheeks are hurting.
It's hard for Sean to talk right now. He's smiling too much.
And the rest of America goes, if that's all we had to do to get Farnham to stop talking, we are incredibly thankful.
There are a few others I can think of that would fall in that category as well. Nice move by Kispert with the left hand.
And that's the one thing. You talk about Corey Kispert, and now he's got 16 points. And Robin just texted me from the Davenport. Robin, I'm glad you're watching. You're a star. Hey, look, I'm honored. What can I say?
Wipe that smile off your face. Quit having so much fun.
There's been a lot of things in broadcast this year on ESPN. I think that's the first time someone's had a food announced that it's been named after him.
That was the official announcement. That was a world premiere right there. They had the boxes with the labels.
I expect them to be sold out tonight. If you're in Spokane, you should be driving there now and buying it.
We know they got the game on. Oh, what a nice play by Suggs to get through traffic. My goodness.
This is the thing about this team is they can kind of coast and cruise right now. And if that's one concern that you would have, if we refocusing on what we're doing here, is that they can coast and they can still be up by this margin. You know, you wonder when the intensity picks back up, how can they finish this thing off for a national championship?
We'll answer that question, and maybe we'll get more of Farnham's smiling mug as we go on from Spokane, where the '1 Zags are taking it to the Toreros.
Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it.
76-42 Zags. Let's hear from Corey Kispert in our Wendy's Wooden Watch.
What I think I bring to the team is a unique leadership ability, not leading from the front, but leading in the middle, and not asking my teammates to do anything that I wouldn't do myself, which sets the tone for the team as a whole.
Corey Kispert continues to just be a standout across college basketball this year. And look at the numbers. Fine, he's 0 for 4 from 3. Let's nitpick and say he's missing some shots. But at 16 points and his importance, and Dave, you were talking about this. When he goes to the 4, the opposing team has to change their lineup, right? If they don't, what ends up happening is Corey Kispert moves his guy further away from the basket. And I think that's a huge part of why Drew Timme is having the success and the efficiency in which he has. He has space to operate.
I think you're right. I mean, Anton Watson's a really good player, still an important part of this team, but Kispert moving to the 4 as a part of that new group in the starting lineup, and Drew Timme's just rampaged since then, and I do think it's not a total coincidence. Ayayi's coming out, Kispert's coming out. It's possible, even with 10 and a half minutes to go, that that's the last we'll see of those players tonight. You could argue that Kispert is the best pure shooter in the country, certainly one of them. And I love the fact that he's 0 for tonight from beyond 3 and has had a big game, has had an excellent game. Cook had it bounce off a Torero's leg out of bounds, so Zags keep the ball. 10 minutes to go from Spokane. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham. Corey Kispert's got the warm-up jacket on, so that would be one hint that maybe his night is finished. Cook baseline dunks it. Whoa. Aaron Cook, I wasn't sure he had that in him.
Well, if you don't know, now you know, Dave.
I do.
That was fantastic. You talk about, that's the thing that makes this team special. Understanding of roles, understanding that, you know what, he came thinking he was going to be the backup, and then Andrew Nembhard all of a sudden gets eligible, and now a guy that averaged 15 points per game last year is coming off the bench in even a lesser role, but yet over the last couple of weeks, he's been really important. He plays really good defense. He's been aggressive offensively.
Yeah, you and I saw him have that great performance at Pepperdine.
How about that? I mean, that's just fantastic. And this is the part I love about this team. Look at the joy. They have fun. They celebrate. Look at the eyes. You see the eyes on the guy that was sitting down? Like, did that just happen?
Yeah, that's what my eyes look like. I mean, he's their third string point guard. Cue that highlight up and show that. That's their third guy. Although that's really not fair to Aaron Cook. It undersells how good he is as a player. Well, that pass stolen by Cook. That was easy. And this time with the left hand.
He is. How about that? Look at that. When he got the steal, I said, is he going to dunk it again? And then you could tell kind of when he threw the little bounce out that he was trying to get his footwork right to do it. And then you challenge. It's not necessarily Anthony Edwards good, because that was just silly last night. But this one's really nice.
Those are eye-opening, those two plays. I mean, wow, I knew Aaron Cook was good. I'd never seen him do quite anything like those two.
The depth of this team is undervalued and underappreciated.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not a drop-off, but if Jalen Suggs gets in early foul trouble in an important game, Aaron Cook comes in the game, and you still have one of the better point guards in the country, it looks like. How about Dom Harris, the young freshman from Murrieta, California, with his first bucket?
And they're just driving right to the basket.
Yeah, it's turned into a little bit of a pickup game. Which is understandable in a way. Frankie Hughes missed.
But these are good moments for, and unfortunately, bad turnover. But these are moments for them to still develop.
Do you want to do this promo, Sean, or you want me to?
Let me tell you, there's no Lomachenko in this fight, but as Joe Tess would tell you about this one, Valdez is a two-time Olympian from Mexico. He's the only two-time Olympian from Mexico. Phenomenal fighter. This match is going to be maybe the fight of the year. Burchelt is all offense. Non-stop, violent, offensive attack. That, by the way, was sent to me by Joe Tess. He sent me exactly that text right there. You have to watch the fight on ESPN.
When we're done, it'll start. And another block shot. You want to take us to break, Mr. Tessitore?
No, Mr. Tessitore is not taking this one. Mr. Cook is taking all of this one. He's been stewing. He's making something tonight, and the team is loving it.
Take that, Bill Walton. You don't have a flatbread named after you. 86-47. Gonzaga with the lead over San Diego. 7:46 to go. Celebrating the Zags tonight, as we have done so often this year. The special team, special season. Winding down. The WCC, of course, regular season finishes earlier than most other conferences around the country. And by the way, just heaved one up and almost went in.
I'd like to say the innovation from Gloria Navarez in the WCC office to go with Ken Pomeroy and his analytic basics, since there's inequity as far as the number of games played and quality of opponent, that they're using Ken Pomeroy's rankings for the West Coast Conference tournament seeding, I think is an outstanding, innovative way to look at a very uncommon year in college basketball.
Yeah, good solution to a tough conundrum. How do you seed a tournament? How do you value teams that have played fewer, more, win percentage, strength of schedule? All that stuff is tough, so use some analytic tools. Try to seed it as best you can. Adjust on the fly. In a way, the theme of this season.
And that's what this conference has done all season long, and I think that's why they've been able to find ways to make games when there were gaps and there were holes, and they gave freedom even for Gonzaga to go look for other games. Unfortunately, some other teams didn't want to play those games.
By the way, we send our best. We wanted to do this at some point tonight. Jake Gilliam, who is a valued member of the USD basketball program, young man who played at Torrey Pines High, then went to play for a couple of years for the Toreros, became an assistant coach, director of operations. He was hired this year. Jake announced, what was it, about a month ago, that he was battling cancer, and immediately Jake's thoughts were not his own battle, although he's been fighting hard and the prognosis is good, but his immediate thoughts were, let's raise some money. Let's use the San Diego basketball community and see if we can use the V Foundation, raise some money for cancer research. They have done a terrific job of doing that. So we wanted to salute young Jake Gilliam and say, we're with you in your fight. We're thinking about you, and thank you for thinking about others.
Just such an unselfish act in a moment where it's very easy to be consumed with your own journey, your own fight, and what you're going through. His immediate thought was, listen, let's use this as an opportunity to fundraise and get funds, because funds for cancer research have dropped dramatically this year with COVID-19 being the focal point. And what Jake has been able to do is provide a platform and exposure to get people back focused on some of the other things that are going on, because there's going to be 1.8 million people that get told for the first time this year, like Jake, that they have cancer. And unfortunately, the casualty numbers are going to be over 700,000 this year. That's the estimations from the American Cancer Society. So, Jake, we are with you. I am all in on cancer and the fight against cancer, and I take great pride in my off-season work whether it be with the V Foundation or Coaches versus Cancer or TRF, the Imagine Dragons Foundation for pediatric cancer. It's just, we're with you, we're thinking of you, and we know that you have a lot of support around you in this fight.
Maybe no coach in the country's done more on that front than Mark Few of Gonzaga. Just tireless work by Coach Few, so I'm sure he's thinking about Jake as well. Rodriguez could not quite jam it home. Jake set that goal, $25,000, immediately when he announced it, and they almost immediately met the goal. So thanks to everybody down in Southern California, friend of Jake, for helping with that act of generosity. .546 to go. First free throw good. ACC Big 12 Big Monday doubleheader for you on ESPN on the app. Syracuse, Duke, two teams that could use a win. Trying to make their argument. 7 Eastern. Always a great game in the ACC. And then at 9 Eastern, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State in the Big 12. Both games will stream live on the app on Monday.
A big game for Texas Tech, trying to bounce back after that loss today to Kansas. David McCormick was just dominating in that game for the Jayhawks. They mentioned it during the Kansas game today. Do you know that Bill Self has never been worse than a 4 seed while head coach of Kansas? That's amazing.
Not just in the. We're not talking about the Big 12 tournament. That's the NCAA tournament, which really is amazing. Bill Self and Kansas, they've seen some of the best of Cade Cunningham this year, who's been playing well. You talked about him earlier in our broadcast, Sean, about your conversation with him and his maturity, leading that program to a good year as a freshman.
He's been phenomenal, and he's been really good down the stretch in clutch moments. There's been times where I've wanted to see more out of him in the first half of games, but he has such a good feel for his height. I mean, you talk about 6'8", and he has guard-like skills, and I think that's why the next level loves him so much, because he has got such great length, but yet so fluid with the basketball in his hands.
Tom Harris, man, that is a young man who can shoot the ball, and if he can find some consistency in the other aspects of the game, which not surprisingly for a real young player in an established program, maybe that consistency hasn't quite been there. He's got a chance to score a lot of points for the Zags over the next few years. If he can shoot. Rodriguez way off the mark. Foul. What stood out to you today, this weekend, across college hoops?
I think Kentucky, it was a good day for the traditional Blue Bloods. We saw Carolina roll tonight. We saw Michigan State beat Indiana to start the day. But Kentucky getting up 21, Tennessee's offense inability to make up that differential in the second half. Illinois continues to dominate. They played 13-1 Minnesota, not 0-8 Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't won a game on the road, but they've been dominating at home. Ayo Dosunmu with his second triple-double in the last 4 games. And then, of course, the Big Ten, the headliner tomorrow. Just absolutely phenomenal when you think of Michigan going against Ohio State. And Ohio State has been playing as balanced basketball, as efficient basketball as you can find in the country, including this Gonzaga team. If you haven't watched them, E.J. Liddell has been putting up some really big-time numbers. And then Michigan coming off of that pause, still looking the part of that team that they looked like before they went on pause. Juwan Howard's done a tremendous job.
It's like a combination of the John Beilein stuff plus some new stuff. Michigan looks as good, and they've had great tournament success over the last many years, but they look as good or better than ever. Michigan's definitely a team that if they get a matchup with the Zags would pose problems for as good as Gonzaga is. Michigan's in that group of teams that can beat them. Harris, runner, came up short.
You got to credit San Diego here. I mean, look, they're down 40. This is never fun, obviously. And there's 4 minutes left to go in a game. But with their season, and we talked to Sam Scholl about this, he said after the second pause that there was some guys on the team that actually were questioning whether or not they should continue to play because of just how disjointed, how many games they lost. He said, though, after the third pause, there's been a certain level of appreciation that they've been able to get back out on the court and and just enjoy trying to compete and play the game they love so much. Think about this, guys, and coaches across the country know this. Sam told us today that they've had 50 practices this year. 50. He said they're at least 2 months behind on the number of practices that they've had over the course of the season. And most of those practices, they haven't even been at full strength. It's been a challenge.
3:27 to go. Zags have already hit the century mark, 100-57. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy, the official sponsor of Getting Stuff Done.
This is about as good as it gets.
Starting March 3rd, Champ Week almost upon us across the country, and who knows what it's going to look like, how wild the upsets could be. Hard to imagine an upset in the WCC with as well as Gonzaga's playing 100-57. The score tonight as they lead the Toreros of San Diego. 3:27 to go in this one. Out of the timeout, Julian Strother at the free throw line.
By the way, it is Hoop Fest up in Spokane, and I've been told that it's going to take place September 11th through 12th this year.
Well, I meant it when I said it. It is a great basketball city. It's often a host site for the men's and women's tournaments. It was supposed to be last year. And the traditional tournament you're talking about in the summertime, now this year in the fall, the success of the Zags. In and out, and Ben Gregg, who the Gonzaga coaches just love, came early from high school this year. High school wasn't playing, so he said, I'll go play for the #1 team in the country. And he's on the court here, launched up a three. Umar Ballo tried to rip away the rebound. It's a jump ball. There's Ben from Clackamas, Oregon. How about a little Toreros history before we sign off tonight? The coaching tree from San Diego is pretty remarkable, isn't it? With Bernie Bickerstaff, Eric Musselman, and others. Mike Brown, your friend from down in Southern California. We'll get back to at least one or two more. That's an offensive foul. I mean, that's pretty remarkable how it's been a cradle of coaches on that USD campus.
Yeah, they have 5. David Fizdale, obviously, he was there for a while. How about he's got to deal with LaMelo Ball. He's got to deal with LaMelo Ball in Charlotte.
He's dealing with him in a great way. LaMelo Ball's playing some terrific basketball his rookie year.
I should have asked Sam, who's going to be the next NBA head coach based on this roster? Who's going to be next?
So if you have designs on being a coach, go play at USD.
Yeah, play at USD.
Yeah, you got to be a player. All those guys played for the Toreros.
You think about the WCC, just the lineage continues to go on. And how about Spolstra as well from Portland, if you want to throw him in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, you can go back. Our great friend whom we lost this year, Casey Jones, one of the all-time great NBA coaches from USF. I don't know about you, but I think part of that is the West Coast Conference, as much as any league in America, values this sport, college basketball. I mean, college basketball means so much to so many of these schools in this league. And it may not be on a par with the football conferences across the board. But basketball is really, really important in these cities, on these campuses. And I think it fosters a culture in so many different places where the love of the game grows.
There is no doubt about it. And that's why they've had so much success. And you think about Gonzaga and their runs consistently, but let's not forget about St. Mary's. And I still go back to that BYU team last year. They would have been a Sweet 16 team.
I think so, too. Speaking of the NBA, Sunday showcase matchup from New Orleans tomorrow. The Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, take on Zion and the Pelicans, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC. It'll stream on the app. Brad Stevens. I mean, to me, Butler would fit in the culture of the West Coast Conference from their history, how they value basketball. So he's not a WCC guy, but I think he's almost in that vein.
No, I mean, I would agree. But I would also say you look at that promo and you see a couple of guys that went to Duke and flourished and have gone on to great things in the NBA.
Correct. Yeah, the talent is a big part of it. Pavel Zakharov hit a three, the big man. Isn't it amazing in these quieter arenas than we're used to hearing without fans for the most part? The bench noise. I mean, Gonzaga's starters are into this game, aren't they? They're good cheerleaders.
They're all standing up, watching from the sidelines. I mean, it is a 41-point game, and the starters are sitting there engaged in what's going on out of the floor and cheering on the guys that are helping them every single week prepare to do what they have to do.
Greg for three. No.
And I think that part of that joy, you've got to find that joy yourself. You know, there is no kennel there this year. There's no that building does not feel the same. You and I called a game there. It's strange to do a game inside the kennel without the students and the noise and Zombie Nation and all of that. And so you have to find ways to ignite yourself. And I think a lot of this for these guys has been watching the NBA bubble last year. And they'd watch those NBA benches and they saw the fun that the joy that they were having. And I think that's carried over to the college level. And I think with the chairs being spaced out and it's good, the cheerleaders are back there. They're trying to create noise and there are people there finally. There's roughly about 80 or so spectators. But you're still creating your own energy.
Make some noise, Drew Timmy's mom. I mean, who else are they holding up the signs for? In and out, no good. You got Matthew Lang on the court. You got, who else is out there? Will Graves, I think, is out there for the Zags, getting some minutes in a game. Toreros will dunk it home with Humphrey. Hey, you know what? We left off a WCC coach, not a Toreros coach, but just how about Steve Nash now? He's a WCC guy, and I almost don't think of him as an NBA head coach, but he is. That's true. That one in and out, no good. Offensive rebound and the putback for Greg.
Oh, Will Graves, by the way, his dad, obviously the coach of the women's program, has done such a sensational job at Oregon, former head coach at Gonzaga.
Yeah, you and I got to know very well all our trips up there to Spokane. Final seconds are going to tick off the clock. 106-69, Sean. The #1 team in the country continues to impress.
Really impressive to see 106 get thrown up on the board. They did everything they wanted, and the crazy part about it is most of their starters didn't even play for the last 12 minutes of this game. Dominating performance.
On a night, yeah, where Drew Timme did his thing again. Jalen Suggs was outstanding. Mark Few's team looked like the #1 team in the country. Aaron Cook, 2 incredible highlight dunks. And a night where they named a flatbread at the Davenport after my partner.
Let's
Sean
go.
Farnham, Dave Fleming saying so long.